Welcome back to Streaming Media East 2022 here in Boston at the lovely Westin Copley. Weather's much nicer outside today than it was when I flew in on Sunday. Ben, you're based in New York, is that right?
Right out of New York City, yep.
Okay, and you're with CNN.
CNN, yes.
And what is your focus these days?
So my focus, I'm a live operations manager, so I'm basically working on cloud live production for a lot of our digital shows.
Okay, and you were on a panel that we did a while back about hybrid workflows. Is hybrid still part of the mix of what you're doing?
So we're actually on the CNN Digital and the specific things I'm working on, we're 100% cloud now. We had a hurricane and a snowstorm that knocked out our on-prem computers at two people's houses.
All right.
So we ultimately decided it's time to just be 100% cloud.
Okay.
And we're using cloud not only because it's really useful for what we need to do and all the people working remotely, but because we couldn't necessarily get computers to replace those computers.
Right.
And it's kind of helping us find, are there other places, in the organization where we might be able to use some of this technology.
Sure, good deal. So REMI for the win, essentially, at this point.
We're still very much grounded in, traditional on-prem tech, but there's a lot of benefits to REMI that I think we're going to be able to take even more advantage of.
Okay, very good. So what, were you speaking here at the show as well?
Yep.
Okay, what did you speak on?
I spoke about cloud production and hybrid production.
Oh, very good. And for you, sort of how do you define hybrid?
Hybrid, I kind of think both of them, because a lot of the things, the tools that we use in the cloud are software that you can use on-prem. Mm-hmm. So we were using vMix on those on-prem hurricane disaster computers, and then we just moved it to the cloud.
Okay.
So I think, it's the right tool for the right job. There are certainly things where it's easy to work in the cloud. Just this morning we had, for caller contribution, we use WebRTC-based tools, but there's a lot of banks, government organizations, high security things that just don't let you use WebRTC. Not a chance. So we were able to spin up just in 2 seconds or 2 minutes a computer that had WebEx running, and we were able to make that work, and just had to switch out some NDI connections, call it a day.
Okay.
So that's something that we couldn't have done on-prem because I would have had to find another computer, boot it up, download NDI tools, all that fun stuff. So
I remember back when I was installing video conferencing systems for government organizations, initially the thought was just to talk amongst themselves. It turned out it was actually a really good contribution tool as well. So you just can't beat sometimes Zoom or WebEx or some of these services in efficiency on their end. There's a lot of downsides to using them. Sure.
A lot of quality issues.
Quality issues.
They've gotten very, very good, to be clear. And we would not be where we were broadcasting, especially during COVID, without them. But there's just a lot of things where I would rather have control. There's software that gives me the ability to change their webcam, change their resolution, change their color balance, look at their actual data connection, all that stuff.
Right.
So I would prefer better solutions, but ultimately we need to get the show on the air and the guest on the air, and if the guest needs us to do it this way, we can accommodate.
And I think to a certain extent, the viewers have given latitude over the last 2.5, 3 years we understand that people may be coming to us on a big show from their home. And so we sort of go, okay, that person's at home, if the connection's not so good or the quality's not so good, maybe that's okay. But as you say, ultimately, if we're going to carry that forward with workflows post-pandemic, we need to keep the quality up to the broadcast level.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that, broadcast in general, or audiences general, let's not blame the broadcasters, let's blame the audiences, have tolerated it too much and don't care enough. I think they should have a higher expectation for very good audio quality, very good video quality, very good internet.
Okay.
So I'd like to see across the industry a bigger focus on that.
Okay.
The things it depends on obviously the kind of budget you have, but sometimes a cell phone is better than a laptop. With all due respect to my favorite kind of computer, Apple, they're not known for their webcams. So the rear camera on your webcam is gonna be better than the one on your MacBook a lot of the time.
To show people what he means, it's a tiny little camera right up here.
If you want to look like you're broadcasting through a potato, use Apple.
Versus
it's just better.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where like the old trope used to be, hey, you want to be wired, you want to be Ethernet.
Right.
I will very often now be happier with the cell phone signal that's going to be pretty good, if not great, compared to
on 4G LTE or 5G.
Yeah, not on like 2G, if that even still exists.
Exactly. Well, Ben, thank you very much for your time, and always good to have you, and we'll be right back with our next guest.